It was a smothering August heat in Los Angeles, the kind that clung to your skin like a film you couldn't wash off. It was the hottest summer in LA for 100 years, and boy, it felt like it. The city had been my hunting ground for so long, its labyrinth of streets and shadows a perfect stage for my acts. Yet, on this day, August 31st, 1985, the roles would reverse. I would become the prey. The thought of it, even now, twists my stomach with indignation. The morning started innocently enough. I stepped off the Greyhound bus from Arizona. I'd gone to visit my brother, but he wasn't even home. So it was something of a wasted trip. My mind was swirling with thoughts, not of the murders, not of Satan, but of escape. The air in the city felt different, as if it carried whispers of my name. As I moved through the bus terminal, I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on me, suspicion crackling like static in the atmosphere. Paranoia, I thought. Maybe I'd been pushing too hard, leaving too many clues. I wandered into a convenience store to grab something to drink. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I scanned the shelves. That's when I saw it, a newspaper with my face plastered across the front page. "Night Stalker suspect named," the headline screamed. My stomach sank. The grainy image wasn't perfect, but it was enough. My sharp cheekbones, my eyes, those were unmistakable. I'd been careless, too bold in my movements, and now the whole city was looking for me. My pulse quickened, and a thin sheen of sweat broke out on my forehead. I could feel the clerk's gaze lingering on me, his eyes darting from the newspaper to my face. A group of elderly women stared at me in horror. "El Matador," one of them shouted. El Matador is Spanish for the murderer. Panic clawed at the edges of my mind. I dropped the drink, turned on my heel, and bolted out of the store. My heart hammered against my ribs as I stumbled into the daylight, the harsh sun blinding me for a moment. The city was alive with noise and movement, every passerby a potential threat, every glance a dagger aimed at my throat. I needed a car, fast. The streets were crawling with people, their faces turning towards me like sunflowers seeking light. I ducked into a residential neighborhood, the suburban calm at odds with the chaos brewing inside me. My hands trembled as I scanned for an opportunity. I spotted a woman getting into her car. A stroke of luck, or so I thought. I lunged for the woman, but next thing I knew, her husband was bashing me over the head with a fence post. I started running as fast as my legs could carry me. The neighborhood erupted around me. Shouts echoed through the streets, the sound of footsteps pounding on the pavement. I was being hunted. I darted through yards, vaulted over fences, my breath coming in ragged gasps. My mind raced, searching for an escape route, a way to disappear into the sprawling chaos of Los Angeles. But the city was turning against me, its people uniting in their hatred, their fear transforming into fury. I emerged onto a busy street, my lungs burning, my vision swimming. Cars screeched to a halt as I sprinted across the asphalt, horns blaring in a cacophony of rage. On the other side, I stumbled into a group of people. Their eyes widened as they recognized me. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, as one, they moved. Fists rained down on me, the blows coming from every direction. I tried to shield myself, to fight back, but it was useless. The mob's anger was a tidal wave, and I was drowning in it. My vision blurred as pain exploded across my skull, my body battered and broken. Voices shouted over one another, a chaotic symphony of triumph and hatred. "We got him! It's him! The Night Stalker!" I don't remember how long it lasted. Minutes? Hours? Time lost all meaning as I lay there, the pavement cool against my battered body. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, closer. I felt the cold bite of handcuffs on my wrists, the weight of officers dragging me to my feet. Blood dripped down my face, mingling with the sweat and grime. My head swam with dizziness, my ears ringing from the mob's assault. I've no doubt that the cops saved my life that day. The ride to the police station was a blur. My mind oscillated between anger and despair, the adrenaline fading to leave only exhaustion in its wake. At the station, they processed me like any other criminal. Fingerprints, mugshots, questions. But I wasn't just any criminal, and we all knew it. The officers' eyes burned with contempt as they worked, their movements brisk and impersonal. To them, I was a monster, a demon in human skin. They wanted to see me suffer, to watch me squirm. I refused to give them the satisfaction. They locked me in a cell, the walls closing in around me. The air was thick with the stench of sweat and despair. I sat on the cold, hard bench, my body aching, my mind racing. Outside, the world buzzed with the news of my capture. Reporters clamored for details, their voices a dull roar through the walls. The city rejoiced, its nightmare finally over. But for me, the nightmare was just beginning. In the days that followed, the interrogations began. Detectives grilled me for hours, their voices sharp and probing. They wanted confessions, details, closure. I gave them nothing. My silence was my shield, my defiance a weapon against their authority. They'd caught me, but they wouldn't break me. Not yet. The trial was a spectacle, a grotesque theater where I played the starring role. The courtroom buzzed with tension, the air thick with the weight of my crimes. Families of the victims sat in the gallery, their grief palpable, their eyes burning holes into me. The media swarmed like vultures, hungry for every scrap of drama. I met their gaze with a smirk, my arrogance a mask for the fear simmering beneath the surface. As the evidence piled up, the stories of my deeds laid bare for all to see, I felt the walls closing in. Witnesses pointed their fingers, their testimonies weaving a tapestry of horror. The survivors' accounts cut through the noise like knives, their voices trembling but resolute. They had faced me and lived to tell the tale, their courage a stark contrast to my cowardice. The jury's verdict was a foregone conclusion, guilty on all counts, the sentence death. The words hung in the air, final and unyielding. Yet, as they led me away, I felt a strange sense of relief. The chase was over, the mask torn away. I was no longer the night stalker, the faceless terror haunting the city. I was Richard Ramirez, exposed and defeated. There seems to be a poetic justice in how I was captured. For a little over a year, I had terrorized this city, and now this city had turned on me. Now I was the one who was afraid.